Do you know about Ice 9?
Ice 9? Ice 9. Ice 9. Ice.
Yeah, nothing. Suddenly, Seven's eyes shot open.
That's it. I remember now. That woman, she's on this boat.
What woman?
That woman?
Alice!
Who's Alice?
What?
Come on. The woman who won't melt at room temperature.
What?
Huh?
It became clear to Seven that Junpei had no idea what he was talking about. He ran his hand across his face and took a deep breath.
You know how the Titanic sank on April 15th, 1912, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, more than 1,500 people died. Worst maritime accident in history. What about it?
Did you hear about the boat that was sent to collect the dead bodies?
No.
I think that was the RMS Carpathia, right?
The fuck? Is that common knowledge?
It was a cruise liner, just like the Titanic.
No, that was the ship that picked up the survivors. The ship that collected the dead bodies was the CS McKay Bennett.
Okay.
The McKay Bennett showed up on April 17th, 2 days after the accident.
Okay.
It set out from Halifax, a port in Canada, and recovered 306 bodies. The Atlantic that far north was really cold. It would have to be for there to be icebergs and stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway, the bodies they pulled out of the water were frozen solid.
I wouldn't doubt it.
This isn't a very nice story. So, what happened next?
Well, they say the McKay Bennett recovered something more than just dead bodies. There were various bits of stuff floating around in the water. Things the drowned had carried with them, or stuff that dislodged as the ship sank.
Yeah, that's obvious.
One of the things they found was a coffin.
That's morbid.
A coffin?
Yeah, a wooden one.
Okay.
The craftsman who made it must have been pretty skilled. It wasn't just a wooden coffin. It was all wood, no nails, no reinforcements, no gaps in the wood anywhere. The thing was airtight.
How the fuck do you make an airtight coffin?
The crew got pretty curious about what might be inside it and opened it up. They had to get a wedge and hammer it open, and so what made. Inside, they found a woman. Or, I guess you should say, they found the dead body of a woman.
Okay.
Her hair was thick and black, and her skin rich brown with no blemishes or signs of decomposition. They say that she looked gorgeous, like a goddess.
For a dead body.
She was obviously dead, but everyone who looked at her said she just looked like she was sleeping. Her skin was so lifelike, she looked like she might wake up any minute. And she didn't, though. Like the rest of the bodies they found, she was frozen solid. Eventually, the McKay Bennett finished searching and returned to Halifax. The 306 bodies were unloaded and taken ashore. However, it was warm enough that they began to thaw.
Oh, that's gross.
They say that the stink was horrible.
Yeah.
But there was one body that didn't thaw.
It was her.
And that was...
The girl in the coffin!
That's right. Everybody thought for sure that she'd melt and start to rot like the rest of them eventually. But weeks passed and nothing happened.
That's
And
pretty
a month
fucked up.
passed, and another. And it was summer, and she was still frozen solid.
Still don't know if this is true or not.
After a while, people started to say she was some sort of miracle.
In the story of this. Right. Anyways. It sounds a little fucked up. And kind of bullshit.
Rumors about her started to spread. People came to visit Halifax from all over. After a while, people started to call her All Ice. Alice.
Oh, yeah, that's real clever there.
Of course, those rumors didn't last long.
Why?
Well, she up and disappeared. One day Alice was there, the next day she wasn't. They say someone snuck into where they were keeping her and stole the body. With the body gone, the rumors followed pretty quickly.
I'd
After a
imagine.
while, no one remembered her. You might be able to find something about her if you could find a newspaper from back then, but that's about it.
Wait, you just said that she was on this boat.
Yeah, I did. Alice has got to be somewhere on this ship,
Where?
Now why the hell would you say something like that?
because I know.
And just what is it you know?
I just know.
What happened to Alice after she was stolen?
What? Okay, what happened? Junpei, go.
Alright, tell me. What happened to Alice?
They thawed her out. Seven nodded slowly and took on the look of a man recalling something long buried.
Well, around that time, the word was that there was a special black market in New York. All millionaires from all over the world.
Who wants to buy this dead body?
I've heard that Alice went up for auction there.
Good God, that's fucked.
The person who won the auction was Lord Dashiell Gordain. You've
Go
heard that
fucking
name
figure.
before, right?
Yeah. Guy who, wanted to buy up everything related to the Titanic.
Lord Gordain.
And who bought the Gigantic.
Oh, isn't he the guy who bought the Gigantic? The Titanic's sister ship.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's him. Although I guess he hadn't done that yet.
What do you mean?
Gordain bought Alice in 1912, and 4 years later, in 1916, he bought the Gigantic.
What did he do with the body? Just keep it in his house for 4 years?
And he hid Alice somewhere on the Gigantic. But nobody knows where. He died in 1931, and apparently he died without ever telling anyone where Alice was hidden. However,
What?
However.
well, he did have one close friend who asked him, "Where is Alice?" And he said, "Alice sleeps in a small chamber past the Forest of Knowledge beneath the navel of the Gigantic."
What the fuck?
What the hell is that? Is it some kind of riddle?
Well, the navel probably the middle,
Your guess is as good as mine.
I'd imagine. So probably on like the bottom deck near the middle. Seven threw his hands up in defeat.
So that's it. Whatever you think, I believe it. She's hidden somewhere on the Gigantic. In other words, she's hidden somewhere on this ship.
Oh fuck, you mean that coffin thing? Where there's like pounding in it? I swear to god if she was in there. That's fucked. Before Junpei could dispute Seven's rather bizarre claim, as Junpei was trying to figure out on what on earth he was going to say next, Clover's shrill voice pierced the room.
Hey, what are you two doing over there?
Can you not yell at me?
Stop wasting time and get over here.
Fine.
Okay, we're coming.
Jeez.
Seven looked at Junpei.
Yeah, so anyway, that's the story.
Thanks,
It might
man.
be useful someday. Don't forget it.
I won't. With that cryptic remark, he returned and left the room.
Alice. Huh.
Junpei was left behind to ponder what he just heard. He tried to remember what June had told him earlier.
That mummy wasn't just a normal mummy.
It was frozen. Ooh.
They say that she was frozen. The story says that from the time of its discovery all the way through to when it got put on the Titanic. Even though it was carried through the desert, her body never melted.
Pretty sure the desert's hotter than 96 degrees, though. So I'd imagine she'd melt.
Then was that
Dang.
Egyptian priestess Alice? Did the water in her body become Ice 9? No, that's nuts. There's no way somebody like that could exist.
That's how I feel. Junpei shook his head, trying desperately to clear it, and followed Seven to the operating room where Clover was waiting. A voice he hadn't expected startled Junpei from his examination of the pocket watch.
Oh, pocket watch. Might I take a look at it?
He spun around to find Ace standing in the doorway. Junpei shrugged and handed him the pocket watch.
Hey, man. What are you doing over in this room?
Oh, I just thought I'd come check up on the two of you. Is there a problem?
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, there is.
Ace's eyebrows went up.
You checked on us. Now get out of here. We split this stuff up for a reason, all right?
That's a lie. We didn't have to split up the work. I just want to talk to Clover alone.
Oh, okay. This is why. God damn it. I really made this way harder on myself by not doing any of the stuff that needed to get other stuff unlocked.
That's why I sent Ace to the wheelhouse. There's something I want to ask her, and I don't want anyone to overhear us. I'm pretty sure Clover won't talk if there's anyone else around. That's why when Ace showed up again, I got a little desperate. I had to make him leave.
Ace opened his mouth, then took another look at Junpei and shut it again. A small smirk appeared on his face.
Oh, I see. Of course.
He looked Junpei over, then glanced at Clover.
I apologize for the intrusion.
Damn right you do.
Well, best of luck.
Ace gave Junpei a knowing pat on the shoulder and left. Junpei let out a sigh and brushed a few drops of sweat from his forehead. He turned and found himself looking straight into Clover's eyes. She'd heard what Ace had said. She regarded Junpei with caution.
What was that about?
She was clearly suspicious, and with good reason.
Why are you looking at me like that?
Junpei's eyes widened and he held out his hands gesture of innocence.
Oh, no, it's not like that.
What's it like then?
This is awkward.
I just wanted to hear the rest of that story. I didn't get a chance to ask you about it until now.
What story?
The one you were talking about with Seven and I.
About the experiment, remember? The one you started to tell me in the operating room? You said something about an experiment that happened here 9 years ago.
Clover bit her lip. She stared down at the floor for several long moments, and then she spoke. It was barely audible.
I'm sorry, but I don't want to talk about that right now.
Damn it, Clover.
I'm just not in the mood, okay?
Clover.
You understand, right?
Clover, fucking tell me.
I keep thinking about my brother.
Yeah, it sucks.
I can't stop. I mean, who would do something like that to my brother? I can't forgive them. I'm not gonna let them get away with it.
Okay.
They're gonna pay for it. I promise.
It's a little fucked up right there because I know what you do later on.
So...
Her shoulders were shaking. Drops of blood had sprung out of her lips, where she was biting them. She wiped it off and looked up at Junpei, her eyes fierce and angry. Oh god.
Junpei, who do you think did it?
Oh god, please don't make me pick. Her voice was cold and scarcely above a whisper. Junpei gulped.
Well, if what Seven said was right, then there would have to be at least 2 of them. You need at least 3 people to open the numbered doors, and if you subtract Snake, that means there were at least 2 other people.
Yeah.
You're right. So, what does that mean?
Well, if we just look at the bracelet numbers, we should be able to figure it out. Who could have opened door 3 with Snake? Well, really, who and who, or who and who?
You mean it could have been 4 people?
Yeah.
Well, technically it's possible.
I don't know. That doesn't seem very likely.
Why? Because then at that point it's like, okay, this is a little ridiculous.
Why?
I'll tell you later.
Or that.
Why don't we just assume it was only 2 other people for now?
Okay.
Okay, got it. Let's do that then.
Then who do you think it could be?
And Junpei crossed his arms in thought. Snake's bracelet number was 2, which 2 bracelet numbers added to 2 would give a digital root of 3. Which 2 bracelet numbers added to 2, which give a digital root of 3. Oh god. I get all of the possibilities. It would have been Santa and 7 is what she came up with. A digital root of 2, right? Digital root of 3. So they need the equal 10. So it can't be Ace and anyone, because the 9th man's not there. Santa and 7's the only one, really. God, but I don't think 7 did it, though. That's the thing. Why would he immediately try to get people to assume it was other people? And yet, if he did it, like, why even bring up that the possibility it wasn't just Zero who killed him, but it was actually 2 people that did it? Because it puts so much suspicion on him anyways. I just don't see that happening. Santa, maybe I could see him doing it. June, I can't see doing it. Lotus, I can't see doing it. Even if she's a bitch, she'll just leave you behind instead. She won't kill you. She'll just leave you behind. Ace, he's kind of fucked up sometimes. Weird. If there was just Ace and Santa, I would probably pick that, but... Well, there is one, but... The numbers don't add up, so... No point in picking it.
Would it be Santa and 7?
That's what equals 3.
The digital root for Snake, Santa, and 7 is 3. Wait, hold on. Are Santa and 7 the killers?
I don't think so.
What's wrong?
Clover looked at Junpei and he looked back at her. There's no point in hiding.
Well, I thought about it, and...
He told her his conclusions.
That's what I thought.
She looked less surprised than he'd expected.
Santa and 7. If it was 2 people, then that's the only combination that works.
If it was 2 people.
Hey, wait a minute there. Don't you think it's a little too early to be jumping to conclusions? Well, all I said is that those two would have been able to open door 3 with your brother. There might be other possibilities.
Well, what other possibilities?
3 people? He didn't have an answer. He was ready to admit defeat when Clover spoke.
Are you saying you think that it was 3 or 4 people?
It's possible.
I really don't think that's likely.
I mean, yeah, the more people you rope in, the more unlikely it gets, because at that point, they'd have just a majority. Because if you have 4 people and won't kill Snake, then it's actually 4 and 4. You can just slowly kill off people that way. Not even slowly, actually. Just kill everyone else.
Why not?
Can I borrow your pen and paper?
Yeah, sure. Clover put her hand out
Yeah,
expectingly.
here.
Junpei pulled out his pen and pad of paper and handed them to her. She opened the notebook and wrote down several simple addition problems. Oh god. Eventually she had 8, which provided a digital root of 3. A, which is 1 plus 3 plus 6, which is 12. B is 2 plus 1 plus 4 plus 5, so it would be Ace, Clover, 5. Okay, you can get rid of all the ones with Clover immediately. Get rid of all the ones with me, which will leave you with E and A. Actually, that's all. Yeah, all of these. 4 plus 7 plus 8, 5, 6, 8, 1, 3, 7, 8, 1, 4, 6, 8, 1, 5, 6, 7, 3, 4, 5, 7.
What's this?
All the different possibilities.
These are the combinations for 3 or 4 people. These 8 combinations are the only possible ones.
Oh, I see.
Junpei,
Yeah?
Did you kill my brother? No.
I can trust you, right?
Yeah.
Of course. Why would you need to ask that?
Really?
Yeah.
So then I should get rid of B, D, G, and H, right?
And you can get rid of all the ones that you're in.
Of course. Just cross them out. And you should take off yours too. The ones with 4.
Obviously.
So, what does that leave?
Only 2 options.
A and E.
1, 3, 6, 1, 3, 7, 8. So regardless, Sana would be involved, no matter what, with these 2 possibilities. Same with Ace. The only difference is either Lotus and 7 in June. Those are the only non-guaranteed ones.
Wait, it can't be A.
Why?
Yeah, why not? Oh, because June would never do it.
Because June's in that one. There's no way in hell she'd do something like that.
Are you sure?
I don't know. She's kind of crazy sometimes. Kind of weird.
I bet my life on it.
Oh, I mean, geez.
Okay then. I can cross off A too, right?
Which I'm fairly confident she didn't help.
Yeah.
Well, what have we got left?
E.
Literally everyone else is against us. 1, 3, 7, 8.
Do you know what this means?
We're fucked.
Everyone besides me, you, and June would be working together.
Do you think that's likely?
Yeah. It's just the odds.
If there were 4 people working together, they wouldn't be very cautious.
Because there's nothing you could do about it.
I don't think they'd try that hard to hide what they were doing if they outnumbered us, right?
Yeah.
Well, you do have a point.
And besides, if Ace and 7 are working together, they could have easily gotten rid of me when I went to the shower room with them.
Oh, that's true too.
But they didn't. They didn't even try anything. If they were killers, why wouldn't they?
That's fair. Her voice was calm, but Junpei had only to look her in the eye to know it was a forced calm. There were tears forming at the corner of her eyes, and she was blinking furiously to keep them back. Perhaps by attempting an objective analysis of who might have killed her brother, she'd been able to distance herself from the harsh reality of his death. The more she struggled to act unconcerned, the more Junpei felt his heart tighten.
Oh, I see. Anyway, I understand now. It seems pretty unlikely that it was as many as 3 or 4 people.
It could be 3, but again, it would have to be June. Which, it's pretty unlikely in itself. It's about as unlikely as 4 people at that rate.
Yeah.
Then that means there's a good chance it was Santa and 7.
I just don't see 7 doing it.
That's how it looks.
But why would they do it?
And if it's not, I don't think Seven did it, which at that point, then I have no idea how he was killed. Unless it's Zero suspended the rules of the thing and ended up cheating it. I don't know. I don't know. There's a moment of silence.
Their motive.
He laid his hand gently on her shoulder. He was close, too close to the answer. So close to the answer. When Ace chose the worst possible moment to return. Fucking Ace. He raised a knowing eyebrow and then spoke.
Have I interrupted something?
Yes.
What is it?
There was something I wanted to speak with you about, Junpei.
What?
Could you come with me for a moment?
Oh my god, dude. Can you not fucking function by yourself for 2 minutes? He turned on his heel and walked back toward the wheelhouse.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Junpei looked over at Clover. He gave her a short nod and hoped that she would be willing to talk to him again later and followed Ace.
What did you want to talk about?
Ace looked at Junpei and smiled, perhaps more of a smirk than a smile.
There was something I wanted to check.
What?
Yeah? What's that?
If you'll excuse me.
With no warning, Ace slipped his hand into the pocket of Junpei's face.
Hey, what the hell are you doing?
There we
I'm
go.
just checking.
No, stop!
He reached for Ace's arm, but it was too late. It was already too late. In the older man's hand were the piece of paper Junpei had balled up and hidden in his pocket.
Just as I thought. What exactly are these pieces of paper hiding in your pocket?
No idea.
You switched them, didn't you, when we voted?
Who cares?
Well, I can't say that I care.
Exactly.
I managed to get through the numbered door I wanted, despite your mischief.
Then, why did you...
Oh, simple curiosity. I hope you won't think ill of me for it.
God, it's just so weird. Ace smiled, gave Junpei a friendly pat on the shoulder, and then turned on his heel and left. It was a small defeat, but it was a defeat. Junpei had lost the upper hand and knew it. He could feel his stomach begin to tense.
Damn.
Okay. Next thing. A red file. A red file lay in the drawer. Junpei reached down and picked it up.
It looks like there's something on the cover. ALL. All ice.
Alice. Same thing.
Alice. Does this mean...
Junpei couldn't hold back. He had known what was in that file. Each page was covered with strange characters. They looked like tiny drawings of birds, snakes, insects, horned animals, winged, and even kneeling humans. There were many pages in the file, and each was full of these strange symbols.
What the hell is this?
Hieroglyphics. He didn't realize he had spoken out loud until Ace looked over at him.
They are hieroglyphs, a form of writing used in ancient Egypt.
Ancient Egypt?
That's right.
Can you read them?
No.
Of course. I can't. What would make you think I could?
I still like that line, though.
What the hell?
Dick. Junpei flipped through a few more pages. It wasn't just 1 or 2 pages that were covered in the strange symbols. It was all of them. Every single page.
Whoa, the whole thing's like that.
Trying to read them, it was pointless. Junpei wasn't going to waste any more time with them. He made to close the file. And something fell out.
Huh? What's this?
He bent down and picked it up.
Oh, a key card.
There was a symbol on it that reminded Junpei of the symbols of the Saturn and Mercury key cards. This one, however, had a dot in the center of the male symbol.
Uranus. That's the Uranus symbol.
Bottom deck library, which is where she is. The seat of knowledge library. Get the fuck out of here. Junpei looked over to see Ace examining the card. In addition to the Uranus symbol, there were 3 words engraved in the card as well.
Something's written on the bottom. Bottom deck library. This must be the key to the library, then.
So it would seem.
Bottom deck library. Oh.
Junpei remembered something he'd heard from Seven when he had been in the chemical closet.
Seven said something like...
Alice sleeps in a small chamber past the Forest of Knowledge beneath the navel of the gigantic.
Forest of Knowledge, same thing.
Could beneath the navel mean the bottom deck?
Yeah.
And the Forest of Knowledge is the library?
Well, I knew it was bottom deck beneath the navel. I I didn't think about the library because I never found a library.
Then could Alice be in a room somewhere beyond the library?
Probably.
What's wrong? Something on your mind?
Nope, not at all. Junpei blinked. Only then did he notice Ace looking at him. Curiosity and concern ran across his face in equal parts.
Yeah. I just remembered something.
Is that so? What about?
well-
Nothing important.
Don't laugh, okay?
There was no reason for Junpei to hide his thoughts. He began to explain his theory to Ace. Then he stopped. It wouldn't make any sense if Ace didn't know who Alice was supposed to be. So he told Ace everything June had told him. That sounds
The
like a bunch of
Egyptian
bullshit.
priestess, an Ice 9. Interesting.
And the woman who wouldn't melt, who was recovered from the Titanic disaster? They called her All Ice, which eventually turned into Alice. And she was purchased by an English millionaire who called himself Lord Gordain. According to Seven, this ship is where he hid Alice.
And you think that he hid her in a small room, beyond the library on the bottom deck?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it is just a theory.
He stared off into the distance, his hand slowly and absent-mindedly stroking his beard. After a few moments, his hand stopped. He turned slowly to look at Junpei, and his brows drew together.
Junpei, have you ever heard of the term CAS?
What?
Cass.
It stands for Cells Alive System. It is an advanced technology for freezing and preserving organic matter. Put simply, it is a technique that allows one to freeze things without the formation of ice crystals.
That would be awesome.
Normally, if you freeze something fresh, water within its cells expands as it crystallizes, damaging the cell membrane.
Which is why we can't cryogenically freeze people. Because there's no way to prevent that from happening.
CAS, however, works differently. The object to be frozen is supercooled using magnetic fields, and then frozen instantly and uniformly, giving ice crystals no time to form. It was originally developed for the preservation of food, as an alternative to the normal freezing process. Now, however, there are rumors that it can be used for other things.
Probably preservation in this sense.
What do you mean, other
People.
things?
Well, there are obvious medical uses, but perhaps also space travel.
Since, light years are a pretty far distance.
Space travel? Are you serious?
Yeah. Are you gonna be alive for a light year? No.
Surely you've heard of suspended animation. Cryogenic freezing?
Obviously.
It's a fairly common idea in science fiction books and films. People are sometimes frozen for especially lengthy journeys through space.
Or just in general. That was when Junpei understood what Ace was suggesting.
Whoa, wait a minute there.
Ace looked at him and raised an eyebrow.
Are you saying that Alice was frozen using that Cass thing?
Well, I'm sure the possibility is quite low, but it is a possibility.
It is a percentage chance, yes.
If this special ice you call Ice 9 does indeed exist, and Cass were used to freeze her into that sort of ice instantaneously.
You think she could be alive?
Well, I can't say for sure, of course. I'm only talking about possibilities. The melting point for Ice 9 is 96 degrees, right? If she were put somewhere where she could reach that temperature,
That's nuts. Are you really saying she could have defrosted and started walking about?
Possibly.
you're quite right. It does sound unbelievable. But if she had, then we would have an explanation for the man we found dead on the floor.
That's a very good point.
You mean the guy dressed like a captain?
Yes. He was dead when we found him. Clearly, he was murdered.
Yeah, no shit.
But if he was murdered, then by whom? It couldn't have been one of us. That would be impossible.
Yeah, we didn't have a key.
In order to enter the captain's quarters, one must first open door 1. That door that requires the Earth key prevented us from accessing door 1.
Yeah.
Who was it that opened that door?
Santa and Lotus.
Right. Clearly, the two of them could not have opened door 1, or any other door for that matter.
Exactly.
Who else then could have done so?
Had to be someone else. Junpei thought for a second.
Nobody.
After Santa and Lotus used the Earth Key, they turned back and met up with me and June.
Yeah, and you guys didn't split up again.
Then we returned to the large hospital room and found Ace, Seven, and Clover. While we'd gone into the shower room, Ace, Seven, and Clover had stayed behind. But it's impossible for those three to open door 1.
They didn't even know that it was open at the time either.
But what about when June and I took the elevator to door 2? No, still won't work. We were only gone 5 minutes. No human being could have run to the captain's quarters, killed that guy in there, and run back that fast.
Without being out of breath. And also solve all those puzzles, which were actually kind of time consuming anyways.
It would be impossible for any of us to be the murderer. That being the case, who could have killed him?
Someone that isn't bound by the rules.
Wouldn't it make sense if his killer was someone who had been in the ship for some time? A person like that would know the ship well. They would know the locations of all the hidden passages and secret doors. The numbered door would mean nothing to someone like that.
Exactly.
It would be a simple thing for them to enter the captain's quarters.
Especially if they had, like, a master key.
Then you're saying the killer was Alice?
Probably. It was Junpei's turn to raise an eyebrow. Ace drew his thumb across his lips thoughtfully.
Well, this is all only one possible theory.
All ice. Alice. Is she really somewhere on the ship?
Probably. Junpei had only one clue. The key card in his hand.
Maybe this card will give me access to the Forest of Knowledge and the big mystery. What could be there beyond the Forest of Knowledge? Anyway, whatever. It's gonna have to wait. I can't do anything right now. I'll come back to this later.
He gripped the key card tighter and shoved it deep into his pocket.